For years, I worked out with little to no success. I was trying really hard, but I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was still skinny fat and still far away from my ideal dream physique. The problem wasn't really the amount of effort I was putting in. I was very dedicated and consistent in the gym. Rather, it was more just that I was doing far too many things wrong. Eventually though, through my research as well as trial and error, I finally cracked the code to muscle growth. In the last few months, I've made great, consistent gains, more so than I've done in any time really recently. And for once, I can truly be confident in saying that I'm on the right path to getting jacked. I want to share my secrets with you in this video, so if you're like me and you've struggled to make gains for a long time, you're going to find this video extremely valuable. There are really two big pillars to cracking the code to muscle growth, and the first one of those two is diet. To many of you, that might sound kind of like antithetical. Well, we're talking about building muscle and training. How's the first thing? Diet. But the first thing is diet because diet really is that important, and that was part of me cracking the code. For a long time when I first started training, I thought it was like 80% about the training and 20% about the diet, but in my experience and in my research, I really think it's the opposite. It is diet that is the most important in terms of the results you'll be able to get while training and your ability to be able to build muscle. I've talked about this topic in depth in its own video, so I'm going to keep it a little bit short, but to summarize, diet is more important than training because it is your diet that sort of sets the basis for how you're going to show up in the next workout. Think of it kind of like sleep, right? If you sleep terribly, your workout the next day really isn't going to be that good. Similarly, if you eat a bunch of crap, then your workout the next day or in the few days after is probably also not going to be that good. I say probably, but I know from experience that it's not going to be as good. In addition to diet setting you up for your future workouts, your diet also plays a large part in how you and your body actually recover from the workouts that you do. So if you do a good workout, but you come home and you eat a bunch of junk or you don't really eat at all, basically you don't provide the nutrition your body needs to build muscle and make use of that muscle growth stimulus you provided in the gym, well, the training just really isn't going to be worth that much because at the end of the day, it is your diet and overall recovery that is the ultimate roadblock / constraint in you building muscle. Now, with the importance of diet out of the way, you might be asking what were the specific dietary changes I made to crack the code to muscle growth. First and foremost, and probably the biggest dietary change I made in order to crack this code for muscle growth was going on a low-carb diet. Now, low-carb diets and carbs and their interaction with fat and muscle on the body, these are all things I've made in-depth videos on in the past, so I'll try to keep it a little bit short. But again, to summarize, carbs are inherently fattening, and carbs really aren't the kinds of foods that are helping you build muscle. If you're watching this video because your endeavor is to build more muscle, carbs are not the kind of food that really support muscle growth. It's fat and protein instead. That naturally leads me to the second change I made in my diet, which was eating a lot more meat and animal products in general. So eating a lot more meat, specifically red meat, ruminant meat, was something that really allowed me to get a lot more high quality protein in. But not only just the protein, high quality fat as well. Again, these are kinds of topics that I've made in-depth videos on in the past, but if you're watching this for the first time, watching my channel for the first time, you might be under sort of like the mainstream programming, which is that, red meat is bad for you and saturated fat, so like animal fat, like butter or the fat literally on like a cow or a goat or whatever are bad for you. But trust me, that is all BS. And when I started eating this way, when I started eating a lot more red meat and a lot more animal fat, my muscle growth went kind of basically through the roof because these are very, very anabolic foods and I would recommend that you start eating them. Now, the second pillar of me cracking the code to muscle growth was training specific things. And the first training specific thing I want to talk about is your workout split. I recommend full body workout splits, and that was part of me cracking the code to muscle growth. Full body workouts, in my opinion, are just the GOAT. They are superior to any other workout split. And the first reason that they're superior is because they maximize frequency. Now, by frequency, I mean how many times per week you train a given body part. So let's say on like a bro split, right? You do like 1 day's arm day, 1 day's back day, 1 day's chest day. In that kind of split, your frequency is really only one. You work out each muscle group 1 time a week. In a upper lower kind of split, you're going to get 2 times a week because you do every upper body muscle 2 times and every lower body muscle 2 times. But in a full body workout routine, you're going to hit every single muscle 3 times. And there's a great amount of power in that. Like, think of it, right? If you're working out every muscle group 2 times a week, well, in a year, 52 weeks in a year, you only stimulate each muscle to grow 104 times. Whereas if you do a frequency of 3 in a full body workout routine, then you're able to stimulate your body for muscle growth 1.5 times the amount, or 156 times a year. Now that's a big change, and that kind of change is bound to make a difference in your overall muscle growth. Beyond frequency, full body workout routines also just allow you to train a lot more intense because they spread out the same amount of volume across more days. So if you're to try and do 12 sets of chest, let's say, right, on one day, let's say you're doing like a bro split, realistically by the 5th or 6th set, maybe like 8th at best, like you've already given a very good effort and your chest muscle is basically like spent. Any volume you do beyond that is junk volume. But if you split those 12 working sets between 3 different workouts, so let's say you do 4 sets of chest on 3 different workouts a week, now all of a sudden you can give a very good effort for 4 sets. So that's why I say that full body workouts maximize intensity, because you're really minimizing junk volume. And lastly, full body workout routines just optimize recovery. You need to remember that you build muscle while you recover, not while you're in the gym. While you're in the gym and working out, that's a stimulus for muscle growth. But it's really when you're at home, when you're sleeping, when you're eating well, when you're recovering, that you are building muscle. That's when your body takes that muscle growth stimulus you provided in the gym and actually converts it into muscle. So recovery is just as important, if not even more important than training. So overall, full body allows you to recover more than any other workout split. And really, if you look at it, full body workouts are the epitome of like training smarter, not harder. The second change I made in terms of training, which allowed me to crack the code to muscle growth, was shifting my focus from volume onto intensity. Now, there's a big myth sort of in the fitness community that, volume is the main driver of hypertrophy or muscle growth. Like that's been said a lot in my years, at least, of consuming content on YouTube. But the reality is that no, it's not volume that is the main driver of hypertrophy. Rather, it's intensity. We know this intuitively. We know that, I can't just pick up a 5-pound dumbbell and curl it 5 times for a set and just do 100 sets and expect to build a lot of muscle. That's basically what the idea of volume being the main driver of hypertrophy tries to say. It tries to say that, yeah, you could theoretically maybe take a 5-pound dumbbell and do 5 reps with it, and maybe if you do 300 sets, you'll build muscle. But again, realistically, we know that not to be the case, and even if you could do that, it's not practical. We know that the practical way of building more muscle and the practical variable that is going to build us more muscle is intensity. It is when we take our muscle very, very close to failure, or literally to failure, that our body understands that, oh shit, this guy's trying to lift a lot of weight. We need to adapt, and the muscles need to come back stronger, hence bigger for next time. And that viewpoint is backed up by the science as well, like Henneman's size principle and stuff like that. Again, this is another topic that I've made an in-depth video on in the past, so if you want to get more detail about that, go watch that video. But what was the practical change I made in my workouts based on this knowledge of intensity being more important than volume? Well, it was that I cut my volume in half, but I increased my intensity a lot more. I went down to just 2 sets per body part per workout, but in each specific set, I now took it so much closer to failure. I'm going to attach some videos here, and you can see that like my last reps are like 3 or even 4 second grinds, and like there are often times where I'm unconfident whether I'm even gonna be able to get that last rep or not. Like I'm really having to grind and like almost like in a sense like go to war to get that last rep. And I just simply did not used to train that hard on a per set basis before. I used to do 4 sets instead of 2, and because I was doing 4 sets, I was just like, I wouldn't really push for that extra rep. I was just like, I can kind of do like 1 less rep here, and then like we'll make up for it with more sets, or I'll save a little bit of fuel in the tank for my next set, because I want to keep some fuel in the tank to be able to have good performance across the 4 sets. But again, what does that really make you do? That makes you do junk volume when you're holding back. You don't want to hold back. You want to go into the gym and really give it your all in every set, because that is what's going to stimulate your muscle fibers the most and stimulate the most muscle growth. In my experience, this shift from higher volumes towards lower volume but higher intensity has allowed me to build more muscle than I used to in the past. I'm simply just getting more out of my workouts and each individual set than I was before. So at the end of the day, I'm building more muscle. The last change I made on the training side of things that helped me crack this code to muscle growth was having a strict focus on progressive overload, and specifically starting to track my progress. Progressive overload is the pretty simple idea that you need to be getting stronger week after week in the gym and improving your performances week after week or workout after workout in the gym. Basically getting stronger over time. And it may seem kind of obvious, but for a long time, I really had no idea if I was getting stronger week after week, workout after workout in the gym or not, because I wasn't tracking my progress. I was really just shooting in the dark and really just trying to remember everything in my head about what weights I was doing and how many reps I was doing it for. Whereas, like, that's basically an impossible task. You can't remember all that in your head. It wasn't until I started keeping a training log where I basically wrote down the amount of weight I was doing on every set and the amount of reps I was doing on every set that I really started to make consistent gains, because I was just never safeguarding and making sure that I was actually undergoing progressive overload before that. The training log allowed me to have a written record of my performance in my last workout, and it gave me something, it gave me an actual foundation on which I can consciously try and build upon. For example, if last week I was doing bench press, let's say with 50-pound dumbbells, and I got 10 reps on the first set and 8 reps on the second set, right? This week I would come into the gym and consciously make an effort to, okay, let me get those same 50-pound dumbbells, but this time try and get, let's say, 10 reps on the first set, but 9 reps on the second set, right? So getting one more rep overall across the 2 sets. That is basically me consciously striving to undergo progressive overload, and that is muscle growth. That is, if I'm able to, improve my performance week over week, that is sort of like the quintessential example of me doing progressive overload and getting stronger. If you're improving your performance week over week, workout after workout in the gym, you can be pretty damn confident that you're building muscle. And that's pretty much it. This is how I cracked the code to building more muscle, and this is how I've been able to really skyrocket my muscle growth and take it to the next level. And like I said, I am very confident that I'm on the right track to truly getting jacked and building my dream physique. These practices have helped me build so much muscle, and that's why I implore you to do these same things consistently. I'm sure that if you do these things consistently, you will get jacked. If you want more detail and guidance on these topics and many others, firstly, I'd suggest subscribing to the channel, but I'd also suggest visiting the link in my description and joining my free Skool community. In there, there's a free Skool course which goes over the fundamentals of diet, training, and recovery, and you can also get in touch with me personally, and I'll try to help you out however I can. At the end of the day, it's free, so there's really no obligation on you, and it's a win-win for both myself and you. So I hope to see you there. And other than that, thanks for watching. Bye.